morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man JRich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. GMGP. It is Monday, October 23rd, 2023. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G, and I appreciate you all being in the damn building. Week 7 NFL almost in the books. Got a lot of stuff that we got to talk about today. Fantasy takeaways, Lamar Jackson balling out. We got Jordan Love falling off the face of the cliff. We got to talk about Mac Jones outdueling Josh Allen. And damn, Jalen Hurts is back in a major damn way. Appreciate everybody being in the building. What's up, Jimbo? Jimbo in the crew. Marlon, what's up, my guy? Ro, Leo, Patrick. Same crew, always on time. Jot Webb in the building. David from across the pond. So many ugly games week 7, but your Jaguars, man. Travis Etienne balled out on Thursday night, so it's all good for you. Slayton St. Pierre in the building. Was good with you. Siobhan 1107. Alex in the building. Oh, man, here he goes with this. It's the beginning of the damn show. I wake up talking silly about Lamar. No, we just said we wanted to see him 3 weeks ago play better, and he's been balling out since then. Sit down, baby. Have a cup of coffee and enjoy the show. L. Wood, 7 Go Rings. Man, we got a good show. Jay, cut the music. Shout out to everybody that sponsors and partners with the Wake Up Show, specifically in particular our dogs Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you use the promo code Wake Up. Go to destinationdevy.com. You can find all the codes, links to all of our partners, get free money, do all of that dope stuff. But Jay, we got a lot to get into today. I'm gonna bring you in early, man. Well, no, I'm not gonna bring you in right now. Yeah, I will. I'll bring you in. What's going on, Jay? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. If you want to get to the show, though, by all means, man, we got a big show on tap. But I had a good weekend. Sounds like you had a good weekend as well.
It was a busy weekend, man. We went to the Rangers game, bro.
How was it? I haven't heard about it yet. So if you want to get into it, Game 7, Ray, tonight.
Listen, man, we left at the top of the 8th. It was 4-2. I'm like, oh yeah, we got it, man. They haven't been able to hit. No. And it was like we were walking out and we heard commotion. So that was the scuffle, the bench clearing. I want to call it brawl, but we left there in the scuffle, and then we're riding home. I'm on I-30. I'm close to the job. Altuve comes up, bam, 3-1 home run. I'm like, damn, man, we missed all of that, but they got it done last night. Garcia with the grand slam. So where they play at? Where they play games? If they're here, Game 7, I'm
It's
going.
in Houston. No. It's tonight. It's in Houston. It's a 2-3-2.
It's a 2-3-2? Okay, because NBA Game 7, it normally flips back. But
yeah, the NBA, they do the 1-1-1. It's ridiculous.
If they make the World Series, I'm probably going to say, look, man, we probably going to go to a game. We'll probably go to a game.
You
so
should.
If they make the World Series, we'll probably go to a game. And then we went to a Tamar Braxton concert last night, so my throat is a little yelling for Tamar out there, me and the wife date night, man. But we got a lot to get into, man, starting with my boy. Jay, did you see the image seen around the world, man? People are very concerned, and they're talking about Caleb Williams after that loss. You see the pictures of Caleb, man. Look at Caleb, man. Caleb just out there just devastated after that loss on Saturday. Now people are calling him, what's the kid's name from the movie Draft Day? No one went to his birthday party. Now it's all these questions. Should he sit out the season? Is he a leader? All of this stuff about Caleb.
Never going to the playoffs, right? Now officially, basically.
Big game, all that other stuff. This is why in my opinion, Lincoln Riley is a tad bit overrated, Jay. But we got a lot of news, injuries, and some other stuff that we got to get to. And then we got a big Sunday slate. A lot of fantasy takeaways that we need to get to. So let's just roll into the news, man. And if we get to the end of the show and got some time to talk a little J.J. McCarthy and college football, we'll do that.
For sure. So, Ray, as you mentioned, we do have a lot of injury news to get to. Probably the most puzzling story from the entire weekend was Deshaun Watson. He left Sunday with a concussion, was cleared from protocol, and then was held out of the game to, quote-unquote, protect him, is what the words were by Kevin Stefanski. But there is some minor concern that he did re-injure his rotator cuff, so we'll have to monitor that going forward. It was stated that he will start next week, But we'll have to see because it was definitely surprising.
Was it the rotator cuff or was it his head? Because they said the concussion was ruled out, didn't want to go back in. What was it, man?
Well, he wasn't ruled out, I think, because of the concussion, because he actually cleared the protocol. Concussion. And then he was ruled out after the fact. They just said he's not going back in. It was very odd, right? You have PJ Walker, who obviously played pretty well last week enough to win. This week again, played well enough to win the game. And Deshaun Watson didn't have to do anything. So I guess we'll just see what happens going forward. I think he'll start again. But it seems like he's got a bit of a short hook right now. They can say it's to protect him, but it doesn't really seem that way. And Jay, I don't think we're ever going to know.
Before you keep going, man, I tweeted this out. Is this going to go down as the greatest heist in sports history? This contract, this trade for this quarterback, and the production that the Cleveland Browns and fans of fantasy football have seen from Deshaun Watson, man, this is not... Listen, long before he got injured, he airmailed an awful interception, and then the one where he got hurt, it should have been picked off, but the guy dropped the ball. Like, is this going to go down as one of the greatest sports contract heists in the history of time?
It very well could. Yeah, it very well could. You know, they talk about how the Trey Lance trade is one of the worst trades ever, right, in NFL history. I believe Herschel Walker is one of the other ones where he was traded for like a ridiculous amount of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Ricky Williams is the other one.
Ricky Williams, but like,
so
players without draft picks are one thing, right? You got this hope and enthusiasm for these rookies, but this deal that you gave to a veteran quarterback, the largest guaranteed contract in the history of the league, supposedly supposed to come in and change his franchise's life. This dude's been a bum since he's gotten there. Like, he's done nothing. He's done nothing.
He's been bad and hardly played. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Browns fans can't be feeling good, but go ahead, Jay.
So Jalen Hurts dealing with a potential mild MCL sprain. He did return to the game in the second half with a brace, but we don't expect him to be limited going forward. Obviously, he balled out in the second half, so definitely no concern for him on that front. We did get an update on Justin Fields, Ray. He's not going to be placed on IR, which is great. It probably means he only misses a week or two more. And we also got a report that his grip strength is improving, so that's good for him and Justin Fields owners for his prognosis coming back. Whether or not he starts, that's a different conversation. Bijan Robinson did not play much in the game on Sunday, and it was because he was dealing with a severe headache. Of course, we didn't know that going into the game, and so we were very surprised to see a lot of Tyler Algier yesterday, but the Falcons got a big win, so credit to them. But yeah, Bijan Robinson hopefully will be okay. Jeff, our injury doc, did say that he wouldn't be shocked if there was some mild concerns even going into the week. It's surprising to see something like this happen, and he may end up in concussion protocol, not because he has a concussion, just because he is dealing with a bit of a head issue, and so we'll have to monitor that going forward. Saquon Barkley hyperextended his elbow, but it's not considered serious. He came back into the game with the sleeve and played well after that. Jalen Waddle dealing with back pain throughout the game yesterday. He should be fine. He returned to the game. Don't expect that to be a long-term thing either. But Ray, Christian Watson suffered a potential MCL sprain. We're waiting on imaging to confirm what the issue is with Christian Watson. But this is the same knee that he tore his meniscus on in college, and he also got a cleanup surgery last season. So there's a lot of concerns for Christian Watson because it seems to have the same issues with his knees and as well dealing with multiple hamstring injuries so far in his 2 years in the NFL. So definitely some concern for Christian Watson both this season and long-term as well. Luke Musgrave suffered an ankle sprain, and we saw him in a boot to end the game yesterday as well. So we'll see if that's an issue. We only expect it to be a low ankle sprain though, so not a lot of concerns there. And then as well, Jerome Ford dealing with a potential high ankle sprain, and so he may miss multiple weeks. So there is some concern for the Browns on that front as well, that Jerome Ford will not be available. Obviously already without Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt has been okay, but we could see some more of Pierre Strong going forward. And Ray, I don't know if you caught this at all while you were out and about.
Notes, man.
Ian Rappaport reported before the 1 o'clock games yesterday that apparently Bill Belichick signed a lucrative extension with the New England Patriots. And shout out to Bill. He got his 300th win against the Bills.
He did.
Congratulations, Bill. It upset me a little bit, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, Bill Belichick, right, going to be there for the long haul. They are not getting rid of him. Okay, but like, Bill, you got to step it up. That's it. Congrats on 300. Do a better job scouting players. That's pretty much all I have to say on that front.
Listen, this Bijan Robinson thing, is it migraines that he's dealing with? Or I guess nobody really knows.
So that's where my head went as well, right? Vertigo, migraines, right? Something of that nature, but it wasn't reported as such. So could that be just them kind of downplaying a little bit in the media potentially? It's hard to say, but yeah, it wasn't reported as migraines or vertigo or things of that nature. Because if it was, I think there would be a lot more concerns for him, this week, right? Like vertigo isn't something that just kind of goes away in a week. Sometimes it can linger, take some time. So we'll see with Bijan. We do have to monitor it, but I think he will be back. It just kind of depends on what the actual injury was and if it really was just headaches.
All right, Jay, let's get to the first game that we want to talk about on this one from this past Sunday. Start with the Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders. This was a battle of two quarterbacks that we really didn't want to see, and then it turned into a pretty competitive game as far as scoring fantasy points. You had some players in there that were competitive for scoring points. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. We were hopeful for Josh Jacobs in this one. The score of the game, the Bears and Tyson Bagent got it done, like first and foremost. So congrats to the Bears for beating the Raiders 30-12. But there was some fantasy scoring opportunities in this one, and I was very concerned. I was concerned for DJ Moore. I didn't think Deontay Foreman was going to play very well. I thought the Raiders would step it up. I know their linebacker, Devon Diablo, got hurt early, but it really wasn't from a wins and losses perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, we got Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. And you put this in the show notes. You said, is it officially Jacoby Myers over Devontae Adams moving forward at this point, Jay? And where do you land on that one? Because Devontae did drop a touchdown pass from Brian Hoyer, slot fade in the end zone, just kind of misjudged it, misread it. He was still fed, his healthy, customary amount of 12 targets, caught 7 balls. Jacoby Myers, 13 targets, 50-1. I wouldn't go as far to say Jacoby Myers over Devontae Adams, but he's locked and loaded. Like, you shouldn't be debating starting Jacoby Myers or any of that stuff anymore. He's a must-start weekly,
Yeah, I think it's more so that I almost view them as equals at this point. Even though I do consider Devontae Adams the higher touchdown upside guy, that hasn't been the case for the past few weeks. And so when you look at the two, very similar amount of targets, same amount of receptions, yardage was very similar. Yep. Touchdown, like you mentioned, just kind of fell in the hands of Jacoby Myers instead of Devontae Adams. And I think they are both must starts. But when you're talking about these players, people don't view them the same. But I think that's the bigger conversation, is that they are very similar. And, Adams may be a little bit frustrated with his role in the offense, but Myers is playing very well as well. So I think we need to just credit Myers for that. And he's probably still a buy low in Dynasty right now, because I think the other side of this is that there is a world where Devontae leaves at some point. Maybe not this year, because they're saying they're not going to trade him. But if Devontae leaves and they don't bring in anybody really of consequence, Myers would absolutely smash in this offense.
You think he could be a 1? Do you think Jacoby can be a 1? And in Dynasty, seeing as though you're getting, 7 years of age on Jacoby Myers, would you prefer him to Devontae Adams in Dynasty right now, realistically?
I think there's a conversation to be had for that, for sure. If you're shooting for the ceiling, I would say probably not. But, Ray, why can't he kind of do what Amon-Ra does? I think Amon-Ra is a slightly more talented player, but when you talk about just kind of what he does on a week-to-week basis and kind of what his ceiling is, because he's not necessarily a touchdown guy, but definitely kind of defies the odds in that regard, I think Jacoby does a similar type of thing. He operates mostly in the middle of the field, but he still finds ways to get into the end zone, something he really struggled with early in his career. So I think it's an interesting conversation. And I have to ask you, the bigger question is, do you think he can be a 1 on a team? We kind of saw that in New England, so I tend to kind of think he can, but do you think if he was kind of given the keys in this Josh McDaniels offense once again, he could really operate as that 130, 140 target guy in LA or in Vegas?
Yeah, I think so. Sure. I think so, but I think sometimes those players just operate better when coverage is not drawn towards them.
For sure.
What you want about Devontae Adams, he's still garnering the respect of defensive coordinators across the NFL. So it doesn't make things more difficult for Jacoby Myers having Devontae Adams on the field. I'll say that. I would say it only sort of makes it a little easier for him. But both players are good. We've been talking about Myers on this channel since week 2. Like, he's been somebody that's popped in the Trinity report, and he's going to continue to rise up that with another strong week. We can't get into this game and not talk about Tyson Bagent. We can't do it. This was a kid who wasn't supposed to play at all this year, right? It was Justin Fields' job. This was a late-round draft pick, small school kid. Comes out there, man, and I thought he played really good football. I thought he did a lot of really good things. He protected the football, didn't do a lot of silly stuff, wasn't forcing things. You see that 21 for 29. Tried to push the ball downfield a couple of times, wasn't really successful, but I didn't expect him to go out there and light the world on fire. We just wanted to see if he could steady the ship, and I thought he did a really good job playing instead, filling in for Justin Fields in this one. one of the players we were a little concerned about, I was very concerned about, was DJ Moore. And while he didn't have this massive, mind-blowing statistical game, Jay, he still got 9 targets, caught 8 balls, 54 yards. And there was a difficult touchdown grab that I am going to say DJ Moore should have caught. DJ Moore is good enough to where I can say he should have had that touchdown catch, right? So it should have been 9 for 63 and a touchdown for DJ Moore. So my question to you is, are we at the point where he's sort of QB proof, where you're just going to start DJ Moore, you're not worried about him, and is this an opportunity while Justin Fields is out playing with Tyson Bagent, if you can acquire some DJ Moore on the low, or at least a small discount, would you be trying to do that for this player?
I think I would consider it for sure. And I think, the question of QB proof is really just more so in this offense, right? I think we already kind of saw that in Carolina, that he can be the one regardless of who's playing quarterback for the team. But we didn't really see that in Chicago. We weren't even so sure. You look at 8 receptions, 54 yards. It's kind of like, okay. But in an offense that really is a run-first team, that's a pretty modest game overall from any fantasy wide receiver. So I don't think we expect it to be this super high ceiling. Yes, he had that phenomenal 200-yard game against the Commanders, but we don't expect that week in and week out. His receiving yard number is right around 50 to 60 most weeks. You don't really see it getting over 60, especially in this offense. So I think he performed kind of where he should. And as you mentioned, maybe got a little lazy on the touchdown, didn't secure it fully, but that's fine. We can forgive him for that. He's been great for fantasy. But yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I kind of like him with Bagent in this offense, this short dink and dunk style. Call him Brock Purdy 2.0 in the way he's playing and operating. Is he going to find the success, Ray? Are you buying in early to the long term of Tyson Bagent?
Listen, you and D, bro, normally y'all on both opposite ends of the spectrum, but both y'all got to relax. It's too damn early for this. It was one game versus the Raiders. He did his job, and nobody should take anything away from what he did in that matchup. Nobody. Congrats to him. But there's no way in hell I'm about to leap all the way over the fucking Pacific Ocean to say he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. No way. I mean,
so let's dial it back then.
That ain't even just a leap off your front porch. You are literally standing at the edge of what country is at the edge? France, and jumping all the way to New York. It ain't happening, man. Like, no. No.
Okay.
And I don't even think that's the Pacific Ocean over there.
We're dialing it back.
Okay.
Can he start for the rest of this season for the Bears? Like, do they turn back to Justin Fields?
Where's your sounder that says what? The moment Justin Fields is ready, regardless if you think he's good or not, he's going to be the starting quarterback. Stop.
Okay.
Stop. Josh Jacobs, Jay. We talked about Josh Jacobs, and this was supposed to be the get-right game for him. Dude.
Ray, I'm sick of Josh Jacobs, man. I'm sick of him. I don't even think I have him on any rosters, but if you have him, you have to get rid of him. Like, for anything.
Man. I'm watching him. He looks fine to me. He looks fine outside of the jersey. You know how we feel about. I'm gonna buy a Josh Jacobs jersey and give him.
Ray, it's cursed. You can't do that.
I'm gonna buy him a jersey. I'm gonna buy a number 8 Josh Jacobs jersey and wear it. I'm gonna get a 3X, just like I got when I was in high school. I just are you out on Josh Jacobs?
Yes, I am out. This is the matchup, right? We talked about Kenneth Walker, how it was a great spot for him. Didn't score a touchdown, 100 yards, cool with it. He couldn't even get me 50 yards. He couldn't average more than 3.5 a carry. Okay, the Raiders are bad. And yes, Brian Hoyer is awful. They should have started Aiden O'Connell. That was very apparent once he got in the game. But what are we doing here? Why is he even playing if he's going to be performing like this? He's terrible for fantasy and in real life. It's bad. It's bad.
All right, man. Okay. Well, the Bears got it done. The Raiders were damn favored by 2.5 and 37.5 point over under. Look at that, Jay. Look at that, man. The odds makers, man. They lost out on that one. They dropped 42 on their head. But let's get to one of the games that we were most excited to see. And again, shout out to Bagent. Got his job done. Got his first NFL touchdown pass. And Deontay Foreman. How do we not talk about Foreman?
Well, you almost glossed over it. 3 TDs on my bench in multiple spots. Great, right? Yeah, 3 TDs for old Deontay Foreman. Darrington Evans even, honestly was decent as well, but
Evans looked good. I'm a little concerned for Roschon, man. That's 2 weeks, 3 weeks that he hasn't been in the game.
Yeah.
It's the concussion. A little concerned about Roschon Johnson, Jay. But let's pivot to the Baltimore Lions game because that's the one we were pumped for. We were like, this is game of the day. You don't want to watch anything else because this is the game that you want to watch. And JRich, there was a lot of hype this week. I was watching a lot of media outlets, and they were talking about there's no quarterback in the NFC that they would trust running their offense more than Jared Goff. And Goff was not good. This past Sunday was not good. The Lions, it felt like they barely had the damn ball in the first half. The Ravens just put foot in you-know-what, ass. They put foot in ass. This was probably the most, I don't know if calm is the word, but just in total freaking command of the game.
Yeah.
The play where Lamar Jackson scrambled around and found Nelson Aguilar, a lot of the highlights start at the part where he was rolling out and scrambling to the right. But the beauty of that play was his pocket manipulation. Like, he legitimately hung in the pocket, slid up, didn't panic, got out, scrambled around, boom. Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers. We continue to talk about Zay. I don't think he's going to achieve the Trinity this week, but he was right there. I mean, he was smashing, and then all of a sudden he goes away. Mark Andrews doing his damn thing. The running game. Did you see Gus Bus rip off one?
No, I didn't see the play. I'm seeing the stats. 1 reception, 80 yards, no touchdown. What happened?
Listen, the bus was moving, baby. He was moving and just
busting out of gas.
Man. He ran out of gas, but he was Gus busting it. Gus Edwards was a monster on the day, but Lamar Jackson, look at his passing chart, man. Look at this. Over 1 for 1,
all levels.
1 for 2 over 30 at 20 to 30 yards. And look at that intermediate. This is where you make your hay right here. Right here in this land right here. And my man was damn near perfect. 1 for 1 there, 4 for 5 down the middle, 2 for 2 to the right-handed side of the field. I mean, he was money. This was literally one of the best that I've seen Lamar just play from start to finish in a very long time. Jay, the running game, Jahmyr Gibbs scored a touchdown. I know a lot of people are excited about Jahmyr Gibbs getting in the end zone. We talked about Gus Bus, but let's not forget, these are the things that Lamar must continue to do to keep this offense going. 9 carries, 36 yards, and a touchdown. His tactical scrambling ability, his ability to move on the he's an awesome player. And when he gets help from his pass catchers, it just makes him that much better, that much more effective. And I can't help but think when I'm watching the Ravens play, Jay, man, I wish they had a healthy J.K. Dobbins. You know, just a true dynamic, game-changing type running back. Lamar Jackson, Alex said it. We got to put some respect on his name. When you're talking top 5 dynasty quarterbacks, Jay, let's have a conversation, big dog. Let's have a conversation, Jay.
Ooh, boy.
Everybody wants to propel Justin Herbert, right? Herbert, Burrow, Tua.
Yep. Well,
when it comes to Lamar, it's,
I don't know.
I like him, but I'd rather have that Herbert. Right now, how many quarterbacks would you take over Lamar Jackson if you're doing a dynasty startup right now? Let's
it's tough. It's tough, right? I got.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me go with the guaranteed ones you're taking over. Guaranteed.
The big 3.
There should be. There should be no debate. Patrick Mahomes, no debate. Correct?
Yes.
None. 0 debate. You're taking Mahomes over Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen stinks right now. You're not telling any lies. He's not good.
I'm not saying that. Is there a conversation of Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen in Dynasty?
Yes, for sure. There's a conversation.
Should that be a conversation?
Yeah, I think it should be right now, for sure. I think we're being a little fickle, but to Lamar's credit, he's always shown the upside and potential.
It's when it comes to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and we're being a little too reactionary. Remember how good he's been and all the things that he's done. Remember how good Lamar's been too, right? Lamar's done this without having a number 1 wide receiver for a very long time. So I'm just, is that a conversation? Should there be a conversation between Lamar and Justin Herbert, Lamar and Joe Burrow?
Yes, absolutely.
Lamar and Jalen Hurts. Is there a conversation between Lamar and Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only reason why I think there's potential pushback for Allen and Hurts is that they do very similar things and they all have that rushing component, right? So you can kind of make the case for either guy because of that. And so when Allen's playing great, people may take Allen. And when Lamar's playing great and Allen's not, okay, we'll take Lamar and kind of, that whole thing. But when you talk about Herbert and Burrow, I mean, Herbert hasn't been great. He's been missing passes that he probably should be making. And then Burrow is, on an upward trajectory, but maybe not quite all the way back yet. But I think you could easily make the case for Lamar in the top 4. And then however you want to rank kind of 2 through 4, go about that your own way. But I think we saw this weekend, and even going back to that Pittsburgh game when he did look really good, just the receivers kind of let him down, and obviously he made a big mistake in the end zone on that throw to OBJ. This is a more complete performance, and I think the bigger thing is that weeks go by, and he continues to look better. This offense is starting to figure out this Monken scheme. They're figuring out each other and how to ultimately win games and put up big numbers. Detroit's defense has been great so far this season. They got a big win at home. I think this says a lot more about Detroit and kind of bringing them back down to earth yet again after they beat Kansas City and lost to Seattle. Now we're going to see how they respond, but I think overall, you look at Baltimore, they're ready to go, man. Mark Andrews had a great day. Zay Flowers was great. The running game actually was able to complement Lamar for once, which is huge for them. I think this Monken offense is getting better and better each week.
See, Jake says Allen easy. We're asking the question. It's not an overreaction. Nobody said definitively should Lamar be ahead. Nobody said that. We're having the conversation because these are the things that people think about in dynasty leagues when you're thinking about doing a trade. If you're tearing up or tearing down, this is why these conversations are important, because if you have a Josh Allen, and let's just say you had a league mate like Jake Hovat that thinks this is a complete overreaction, what you can do in a savvy, sharp dynasty manager would say, cool, I'll trade you my Josh Allen for your Lamar Jackson plus. Can you do those? This is why we have these conversations. If you want to be better at dynasty, you can't just think about what and who's giving you what. Now, you're looking for the Jake Horvats, right? That thinks it's Josh Allen easier, and that's his. There's no shame on that. There's no knock to Jake. That's his personal opinion. Yeah. Cool. But now I can exploit that market. Let me send you my Josh Allen for your Lamar Jackson plus. That's how you get an edge and how you continue to churn and build your roster through in dynasty. That's how you do it. That's why we have these type of conversations. And again, it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree. I'm just trying to ascertain information to figure out pivot points that I can make in leagues based on community sentiment. That's why we use Keep Trade Cut and Company, right? To see what the masses think. That way we can exploit that market and try to gain value and edge by trading with leverage. So that's all it is, man. I thought he was awesome. He was fantastic. I know we're talking about Jameson Williams. I don't really want to talk. It's not a conversation. Okay. All right, Jake. You got it. It's not a conversation. But that's what we're talking about. I'm talking about making the trade, right? Different ways to navigate pockets of players, Jay. Jahmyr Gibbs, good game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 19 freaking targets, Jay. 19 targets for Amon-Ra. What do you think about Amon-Ra in this one?
He was good enough, right? I mean, the team was awful, and they struggled in the first half, 28-0 in the first half. Game was over. But Amon-Ra got his targets because they had to try and fight back, and we're happy in fantasy, right? If you started Jared Goff, you're not so happy. But if you started Jahmyr Gibbs, started Sam Laporta, started Amon-Ra St. Brown, you should be feeling pretty good right now. Even though they got beat down, they still did their job for fantasy, and that's all we really care about at times.
Yeah, man. Anything from anybody else in this game? Zay Flowers did his thing. OBJ, OBJ showed up for an OBJ game. I mean, he gave you 50 yards, big catch, good run after the catch. And then Mark Andrews, couple of touchdowns in that matchup, man, in the end zone. Just a red zone monster. Man, Drew's making it happen, big dog. Jay.
Yep.
Where you want to go now? You want to go to Indy and Cleveland and talk about your boy Deshaun Watson? You want to go to Indy and Cleveland, talk about your boy Watson? And
hell yeah. 77 points, baby. Let's go.
Beginning, Gardner Minshew, monster fantasy day, kind of an awful NFL day. And I know it says 305-2. He also had 4 sacks, 3 lost fumbles, and an interception. So despite all of that, they were still there at the end to try to win this game. Phillip Walker replaces Deshaun Watson. We talked about that. Thought it could have been a concussion. It was the shoulder. He threw some shitty passes before he got out. Minshew magic didn't quite happen, and I'm sure the Colts Nation is pretty happy about that because that's one step closer to potentially getting Marvin Harrison Jr., Jay. But the big takeaways for me in this one is just Deshaun Watson. I just don't know where to begin, where to start. Yeah. What do you do with him in Dynasty? I think I have 1 share of Deshaun Watson across 40 leagues. 1. I can't move him, but everyone keeps saying, oh, you just buy in because of the contract. He's guaranteed to be the starter there for 3. I don't know, man. I mean,
I mean, he's going to be the starter, right? He probably has to be. Like, he can't be a $50 million backup.
Can they keep rolling him out there if he's just bad as he? And now it's the shoulder. First it was the rust. Then it's the shoulder. Next thing you know, it's going to be the offense. And then I hear people say he's got to play under center and he doesn't like doing that. There's all these excuses for why Deshaun Watson isn't living up to the $225 million contract that he received. It's everybody's fault but Watson, Jay. Not his problem. It's his shoulder. It's O'Connell. It's the O-line. It's the rust. What is it with Watson, and how are you feeling about him right now?
I don't feel good, Ray. I don't feel good. I think, you look at KTC right now, QB 17 for a guy that we said, he's got top 5 upside. Buy in the dip. Buy the dip. He's going to be back. I mean, Ray, honest question. Do you want Deshaun Watson and his quote-unquote security, or do you want Dak Prescott right now?
I want Dak right now.
I think you do
fantasy?
Too.
Yes.
I think you do too. I think you could even make the case for Kirk Cousins, who isn't even on a team right now. He's going to be on a new team next season.
Watson, like what? Listen. He looked bad. I mean, those passes, those interceptions, Jay, or at least one interception, one drop got hit. I mean, I don't even know who he was throwing the damn ball to. No clue. And then it was the shoulder was still banged up. Listen, man. I don't feel good about him if I have him in Dynasty. That's all I'll say. I just don't feel good about him. All that security is great, but I don't know, Alex. Alex said it. What does Deshaun do at this point? No rushing, can't pass. Alex, help us out. What are you hoping for? I think there's a part of us, Jay, that is somehow hoping for a little bit of that Houston magic. Just a little bit of what we saw during his time in Houston with Hopkins and Will Fuller, and sometimes no Hopkins and sometimes no Will Fuller. We're hoping for a piece of that magic. And I just don't know if that's going to return. And the bigger thing is, what does Deshaun Watson have to do to return his dynasty value to where people will say, I will pay you 2 seconds? Hell, would anybody, whether you like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen more, would anybody tear down off of either of those guys for Deshaun Watson? And the answer is hell no. You're not doing that unless you're guaranteed like the 1 and number 2 overall pick in 2024. You're not doing it. Like, what do you do with him at this point, man?
I think you have to hold, Ray. I think, like you said, you pray for that 300-yard game. But like you said, it may take 4 or 5 or 6 300-yard games to really, like, get people to buy in to what Deshaun Watson could be. This offense still runs the ball a ton. Right? Like, they only threw the ball. I mean, they threw the ball a lot, but PJ Walker couldn't complete any passes. But you talk about, like, on a normal circumstance, neutral game script, they're not going to throw the ball a lot. They're going to keep the ball out of Watson's hands. They're going to run the ball with Nick Chubb when healthy, obviously. Jerome Ford's still running the ball a lot. Kareem Hunt getting involved. Like, there's a lot of reasons not to like Deshaun Watson beyond his play. Like, the scheme and how they play offense isn't great for him either. And he has to be hyper efficient. I mean, even this season, he was really living off of his rushing ability, running for about 25 yards a game. About every other game, he was running for a touchdown, which helped him a ton. But if he's not doing that, it's very difficult to buy into him in Dynasty, even short term, not to mention long term.
Look at the questions, Jay. David from across the pond, Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson? Richie hitting us with this hard one right here, man. Richie says, can I take Tyrod over both of those, Ray? Like, who would you take, Daniel Jones or Watson?
It's literally just the contract because Daniel Jones could be out very soon, right? Like, he could be. Man.
Xavier Watson is a burger. Vaughn hoping for 2 good games in a row, and I'm selling. Vaughn, you better hope for 2 good quarters.
If you can even get,
Screw the games. Can you get 2 solid quarters out of Watson? I'll say this, Jerome Ford, I know the ankle injury really stinks, but he looked very good in that matchup. Yeah. Kareem Hunt looked good too, man. So probably if Watson, I mean, you said he's expected to start next week. No Jerome Ford. I don't know. Did Amari Cooper play yesterday? Amari Cooper.
He showed up late. Took a while, but he showed up late.
On the other side of the ball, Josh Downs, man. Michael Pittman only had 2 catches in the game, 82 yards. He scored a touchdown. Josh Downs, a very long touchdown catch early in that game. I believe the first quarter, Jay, he caught a 60-something yard touchdown catch. And what's so funny is he was actually one of the players who was on the Trinity thumbnail from Week 7 Trinity show that we talked about. Josh Downs, going to get him. We should see some things start to increase for Josh Downs. Make sure you tap in. And JB texted me last night. The Trinity tracker is done. Complete,
Sweet.
Jay. New updates, all the formulas figured out, got everything done. So that should be up on the website sometime later today. Jay, we're getting to this game. And we're gonna have a conversation, just a good roll into what we were just kind of talking about. And I want to talk about the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills game. Patriots and the Bills. And Gavin posted something earlier in the chat with the plus-minus differential between the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills versus the same teams, versus the Patriots, versus the Giants, and versus the Jets. And I believe that Dallas is, here it is right here. By the way, Dallas versus New England, the Giants and the Jets, plus 95 points. Bills versus New England, the Giants and the Jets, minus 5-point differential. All three of these teams, Buffalo was supposed to put foot in, Jay. Put absolute foot in. And I understand they are dealing with significant injuries. When you don't have Tre'Davious White out there, when Matt Milano's banged up, when Von Miller's banged up, when there are other players, I understand that. Every team is banged up in the league right now, right? Every damn team. Dallas is missing Diggs. Dallas doesn't have somebody, one of their offensive linemen in and out. Like Leighton Vander Esch, neck injury. Everybody's banged up. Everybody's hurt. But the Bills losing this game to New England, Jay, was not on anybody's bingo card. And the real thing that wasn't on anybody's bingo card is that Mac Jones damn near outdueled him at quarterback. Better QBR, better EPA per dropback for Mac Jones in this matchup. Josh Allen, 27 for 41, 265, 2-1. Mac Jones, 25 for 30, 272, 2, and no interceptions for Mac Jones. We talked a lot about James Cook. Got you his pedestrian, 56 yards, but he did catch a long pass in that matchup to help move the ball. At some point in the game, it was like a 30, 40-yard catch. Zeke scored a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson, neither of those guys could get a lot going on the ground, but Ramondre did have 6 catches, 50 yards. Really been his calling card and saving grace in fantasy. And then when you look at the receivers from both of these, we finally got it, Jay. The Dalton Kincaid breakout game, he was fed early and often and looked like a player Buffalo should have been using the whole damn season. This was a good performance, a great performance by the rookie tight end. A lot of people have been waiting for something. We've been getting 3 for 40, 4 for 27, and we finally got 8 for 75 for Kincaid. He was close to scoring a touchdown, and on the other side of the ball, this is who Mac Jones has to throw to. Hunter Henry, Pharaoh Brown, Pop Douglas. I like Pop Douglas. Kendrick Bourne with a big day. And Mike Gesicki getting in the end zone. Those are the weapons over there for old Mac Jones, and he outplayed Josh Allen. Let's talk about it, Jay. Mac Jones, everybody hates him. Yet, if you objectively just look at this New England roster, man, how on earth is he supposed to succeed with these weapons? And he made it happen yesterday. He played mistake-free football. He looked like a different cat yesterday. And I believe this, Jay. I'm not about to sit here and say that I think he's some long-term franchise-altering type quarterback, but I think this performance versus Buffalo is the type of performance that even if New England were to go in a different direction, this game will earn Mac Jones more starter opportunity in the future. Like there's enough
100%.
there, just like Baker Mayfield has gotten second wind and second life in Los Angeles and now in Tampa Bay. I think this was the game that if any NFL GM were to see him come on the market, they'd be like, okay, we can do something with this kid if we surround him with the right people, with the right players. This was just a bad loss for Buffalo. They've now lost to the Jets. They almost lost to the Giants. They got that one done at the end. They lose to the Patriots, and who else did they lose to? I think they lost
the Jags in London, right? So ever since they got to London, they lost in London, came back at home, almost lost to the Giants, and then they go to New England and they lose again. So it's tough right now for the Bills, right? Ever since they beat Miami, they've been bad, basically, ever since, right? You talk about Mac Jones. He looks like a quarterback, as you mentioned, that if you give him competent weapons and you give him a stable offensive line that can keep him upright, he can probably sit back there and deliver the ball. And, you can say that about a lot of quarterbacks, but this is a quarterback that we've basically left for dead. We're saying, we don't know about Mac. Maybe we got to get rid of him. He put up a phenomenal performance. You talk about the defense for the Bills. Still a good defense. They are missing some pieces, but you still have to get it done overall as well, right? D-Bro saying Ken Dorsey is a fake sharp. And I do believe that losing Dayball did, people have talked about that. It's a big loss for the Bills. but at some point they have to figure it out. And we talked about Dalton Kincaid and how he needs to get more involved in the offense. That's why you drafted him in the first round. Finally got heavily involved, and that's because, of course, Bill did everything he could to stop Stephon Diggs, and he did a pretty good job outside of the poor effort on that touchdown play from Diggs. And it was a good play by Diggs, to be fair to him, right?
Diggs.
Yeah, to make the slide, get up, and score was a great play by Diggs. But yeah, they needed Kincaid. They need, Gabe Davis to get more involved. He had 5 targets, only caught 1 pass. Diggs obviously did his thing. James Cook was fine as well. But something's wrong with Josh Allen, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know if it's the plays they're running. They obviously ask him to do a ton every single week. But for whatever reason, it's not working for Buffalo. We wanted it to work last season. He got hurt, and that was kind of the pass we gave him. Then he kind of got hurt last week, but, we don't really know whether he's fully healthy, what's going on. But it seems like right now they're just not playing good football, and they have to figure a lot out there in Buffalo. But the New England Patriots, credit to them. Good win. Kendrick Bourne was pretty good.
Him and Kendrick Bourne, and it's so funny, Jay, because on the Trinity video that I put out on Thursday, I legitimately called out Kendrick Bourne. I highlighted his name and said, hey, y'all, if you can grab Kendrick Bourne based on his production participation, like, this is a player that you can bet on. Like, I picked him up in Scott Fishbowl. D-Bro's into my conference. Picked him up in Scott Fishbowl. Picked him up in multiple leagues. In the league with Austin Eckler. Picked up Kendrick Bourne and fired him up. Like, if you follow the Trinity, it's very easy to identify players that you can just bet on their route participation, the things that they do, just plug them and start them. They're doing enough to where you're like, okay, this is a good bet to make. And Kendrick Bourne, D-Bro's pumping him up. Like, yeah, man, he's a talented wide receiver. He's fine, right? Like, he's fine for what he is. I like Pop Douglas, and I see a lot of people talking about Juju. Yeah, man. Should have
Juju and Parker, the 2 guys they paid this offseason, right?
Insane, man. Insane. I just think the big takeaway is I don't think Buffalo's a serious contender, Jay. I'll be on Bleacher Report today at 1 p.m., and they are outside my top 10 power rankings. They've been teetering and flirting with being in there anyway. But I don't think we can confidently put them as a top 10 team in the NFL. Love Josh. Love Diggs. We like the production that we're getting from James Cook. Dalton Kincaid, blow-up game. Good for him. This isn't a top 10 team in the NFL. Not right now. Not the way that they're playing. Not the losses that they had. This was a bad loss. This was a bad loss. And let's give credit to the New England Patriots. Good win by New England, and a good defensive performance by them as well. I mean, when it starts off the first damn pass as an interception, just a bad omen that things are going to go downhill. And yes, Buffalo is very, very, very banged up, Jay. Probably the biggest wolf call from me this weekend. Oh, my goodness. This game stunk, Jay. Absolute stink fest in New York. Sam Howell and company. Yeah. We knew he was going to get sacked. I mean, that's just a given. But, man, This team, the Commanders, they can't block anybody, Jay. So it's hard for them to run the ball. Sam Howell's going to he's getting sacked weekly 4 to 5 times. So if you're playing on prize picks or prop bets, take some sacks against the Commanders. They are going to give up sacks every single time they play. Kayvon Thibodeau dropped an easy interception, would have been a pick 6 at the end of the game. Tyrod Taylor balled out, Jay, played very well, 2 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. Got Saquon Barkley involved, Jalen Hyatt involved down the field. And the biggest thing, man, Darren frickin' Waller. That's what I'm talking about. This is what we wanted out of Waller the baller. As my boy D-Bro says, 7 for 8, 7 receptions on 8 targets, almost 100 yards. Scored a touchdown in that matchup, difficult touchdown in the end zone. Other side of the ball, Terry McLaurin, 8. He did his thing. And then everybody else did as the Commanders receivers do. They were all the same. They all had about 8 targets, all of them about 4 to 5 catches and 40 to 50 yards. Just completely spreads the ball around to just about everybody. Saw a lot of Chris Rodriguez in this matchup. Yeah. What are the biggest takeaways from you from this game? Saquon Barkley played well, looked good in this one. What are your takeaways in this one, Jay?
I think for me, it's that the New York Giants offense is kind of slowly getting on track, right? I wouldn't say they're all the way there, but they made that transition from what they were doing with Isaiah Hodgins and Sterling Shepard to more of Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson. And while Wan'Dale didn't have a great game, we did see a lot of good things from Hyatt. And I talked about how he'd be able to get deep on this Washington defense, and we did see that. And he almost caught a touchdown early in the game and still had 75 yards, only on 2 receptions, but a lot of deep targets for him, a lot of getting him down the field, stretching the field. And more importantly, as I mentioned last week, playing in 2 wide receiver sets with Darius Slayton, right? So the biggest issue for Hyatt was, is he going to get on the field? We talked about that with Jameson Williams. Hyatt played 74% of snaps, and he did play in 2 wide receiver sets with Darius Slayton. So he's going to be on the field for this offense going forward. And he is a guy that we could potentially buy into, whether it's in best ball or even in some lineup leagues, if you want to, really take this shot on a Jalen Hyatt. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Happy to see Saquon get involved. I think the question for us, Ray, that we have to answer is Daniel Jones better for the Giants offense right now than Tyrod Taylor?
Listen, how can I sit up here and make an argument that it's looked better with Daniel Jones? I can't make that. I can't say that, Jay. Part of me wants to be like, well, maybe they're blocking better, or well, maybe this, or maybe the scheme, maybe. The reality is it does look a little better with Tyrod Taylor. That's just that. Those are the facts right now. For whatever reason, it's operating a little better or a lot better with Tyrod Taylor right now. This doesn't look like a team destined for the number 1 overall pick. Real quick, who is in the lead for that? Is it because Chicago?
So, yeah, it's Carolina, Arizona, Chicago, Denver, then the Giants.
Okay, you said Carolina. So Chicago, Carolina.
Chicago
Arizona.
has 1 and 3. Arizona has now jumped up to 2 because they're 1 and 6. Chicago now, because they won, are 2 and 5, tied with a bunch of other teams. Like there's a bunch of teams at 2 and 5 and 2 and 4. So there's Arizona, Chicago, Denver, the Giants, New England, Green Bay, Minnesota, the Chargers, and Tennessee at 2 and 5 or 2 and 4, depending on bye weeks.
Richie said we laugh, man. Anytime people get laughed at, you gotta cell phone. Said you guys laughed at me when I said Tyrod over Jones and Watson. I don't think I laughed. Maybe the chat did, but listen, Jay. I'll just say this: we talked about a lot of these young quarterbacks. Sam Howell, Jordan Love.
He was bad.
Desmond Ridder. Maybe they've got a shot.
I'm so pumped for Ridder.
How do you feel about Howell moving forward? Is he still a bridge type quarterback? Because we said maybe he's earned his shot to be a guy for another year. And Roe said in the chat, I think it was Roe or it was Jimbo that said, it may have been Jimbo. He said, hot take, is Ron still the coach if he didn't have the story? I'll say this, when he was arguing towards the end of that game, he was arguing and he looked like a man that was arguing for his life. Like he was like, man, we need this dub. He's John at the ref. I mean, he looked like a coach, John, and arguing for his coaching career. And this is the biggest fear with Washington, Jay. Let's just say there's a coaching change, right? Just vibe with me here. There's a coaching change
expected,
in Washington,
honestly.
Jay. And Bieniemy doesn't get saved. They full slate clean house, new ownership, no Rivera, no Bieniemy. How many Commanders would you feel safe with the new head coach coming in Dynasty moving forward if Rivera and company got cleaned out? How many Commanders would you actually be like, I'm good with holding on to that player?
I think 3. I think I'd be fine with Dotson. I'd be fine with McLaurin. I'd be fine with Brian Robinson. Outside of that, I don't think there's anybody else. And the reason why I say Dotson is because I believe that hopefully with the new coaching staff, there would be opportunity given to him that I think we all can agree that he is talented enough to earn those targets. We kind of saw it last year. We've seen it at points this season. You don't seem so sold, but he's still worth having, right? It may be a little bit down right now, but you start funneling volume towards him and all of a sudden things would look a lot better. I think they will make a coaching change. Whether or not it's Bieniemy at head coach, that's another conversation. You asked about Sam Howell and whether he's a long-term answer if he's a bridge quarterback. I wouldn't consider him a bridge quarterback because of kind of what the bridge quarterback is, but I still think he's a fantasy viable quarterback who is not going to be long for the NFL. I think he's kind of like a young Ryan Fitzpatrick is exactly how I would describe Sam Howell.
See, I'm with D, bro. Like, honestly, when I asked you that question, the only person that I thought about was McLaurin. Like, safe, where he is locked and loaded, going to be a guy. I think it's Terry McLaurin, and that's what makes me a little fearful of that Commander situation. Alex said Hal needs 2 more good performances, and he'll have that Ryan Fitzpatrick longevity. So there you go. You both said the same damn thing. New ownership will want their own guy. Yeah, I'm with you, D, bro.
I agree with that, though. I do. I agree with that.
I think that maybe B-Rob, just because he's a running back and they may not pay anybody and just
that's more to Matt, right? Like if he's a starting running back, you probably want him. Is he going to be? Different conversation.
Sure, right? Sure. If Bieniemy's the replacement, that's a whole. I don't even know. I don't know. If Bieniemy's,
I wouldn't be too happy with that, to be honest. Not because I dislike Bieniemy, but because then the offense isn't going to change, right? And I think we want to see an offensive change from this team to get the important players the ball more. That's what you see from the best offenses of the NFL, and we haven't seen that so far for Washington.
All right, Jay, let's go to Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Very competitive matchup in this one. A wild game, man. If you, this was, in fact, Jay, I will give you credit.
Say it, Ray. Say it.
This was a Ritter game. It was a Ritter game, but not in the way that you said it would be a Ritter game, but it was
pretty
Ritter
good.
game. So, okay, you look at this and you're like, not bad. Desmond Ritter, 19 for 25, 250, had some big passing plays in this game, Jay. No touchdowns, no interceptions. We're good.
Yeah.
Ritter game.
One sack.
Hold on. One sack. Ritter game. Jay, he also ran the ball. Okay, he ran the ball effectively. Desmond Ritter, look at this. 6 for 38, one touchdown. A Ritter game, Jay. However, what all next gen ain't letting you know is my dog is allergic to the end zone, Jay. I don't know how many times, how many inside the 2-yard line points
Twice
the Atlanta Falcons have left on the board this season. Desmond Ritter rushes in a touchdown, but gets a little Deshaun Jackson lazy, doesn't switch the ball, gets the shit slapped out through the end zone, touchback, right? Take a touchdown off of the board for Ritter, would have smashed for fantasy, but doesn't switch the ball, gets it stripped out because he slowed up going into the end zone, and he slowed up. Then they're at the 1-yard line. He's about to be a Tyler Algier touchdown. We all know it's coming. He's been plodding all game. It's coming. Hike, fumbles the damn ball at the 1-yard line, Jay. Like, come on, dude. 2 times. Like, what are you doing? Hold the ball, man. I was ready to pump you up. I'm ready to give you props, JRich, a Ritter game. And it absolutely was for all the wrong reasons, dude. Bijan doesn't play in the damn game. We don't know why. He ain't out there. Cordell Patterson,
balling.
I get hurt watching him run the ball. Like, it physically made my knees weak. Watching him run the ball, he looked fine. London getting his head and neck jammed up. Kyle Pitts reaching behind his back. This is a wild game, Jay. Baker Mayfield dotting him up, shredding this defense. Oh, A.J. Terrell, you got me scared to start damn Mike Evans this week because A.J.
Where
Terrell.
was A.J. Terrell?
Yeah, you had me nervous, man. Oh, A.J.'s going to shut down Mike. It's a Chris Godwin game. This game was drunk. This was a wild game on Sunday, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, Ray, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you could say I wasn't right but I can't control Desmond Ritter fumbling at the goal line twice. Like, I can't control that. You know, I mean, he passed the ball effectively, and for once, maybe not for once, I'm not going to say that. That's disrespectful. His weapons really helped him out too, right? Like, they made plays for him, and that helped him out. And I think he made plays for the offense. Now, he made some bad ones as well, and we will openly admit that. But in fantasy football, I don't really care about the goal line fumbles.
I got you.
He needs to clean that up, and that's okay. But the process was there, and Ritter delivered. And as you mentioned, Baker Mayfield on the other side played well as well. You know, Mike Evans got it done. Absolutely blew past A.J. Terrell. Didn't see that one coming. Godwin, 12 targets. Was great, but once again, couldn't find the end zone. Go figure. Drake London, top target. Kyle Pitts got involved. Yeah. Very little from Jonnu Smith. Not as much this week. So
you got to start Jonnu weekly. Listen, what's the Falcons' record right now? What are they? 3-4?
4-3, Ray. They're now division leaders in the NFC South under everyone's favorite coach, Arthur Smith.
They're not changing quarterbacks. You know that, right?
No.
Like, you know that. You know they are not changing quarterbacks.
It's just a big win for Ritter. Right? A big road win for Ritter because he has not played well on the road. He's going to play well at home, but on the road he's been bad. He outplayed Baker, and he won this game for them. He really did. He played really well in this one.
Yeah, I'm with Conja. They're not changing quarterbacks. They're not changing head coaches.
Yeah. And
I don't want to say they probably, because everyone could have, should have, right? The Bills could have beaten the Patriots. They could, like, I don't want to play that game, so I won't even say anything. But they've been competitive. They've been right there.
And they have the easiest schedule in football. Easiest schedule in all of football.
Real quick, who wins the South between the Saints, the Falcons, and the Bucs? Who wins the NFC South?
Oh boy! So you have the Saints at 3-4. You have the Bucs at 3-3. It's wide open, man. It's the South. It's wide open. It's not Carolina, but I think all 3 other teams for probably the next 10 weeks are all in contention. It could be the Bucs, could be the Falcons, but it's tough.
This Alex makes this sound so bad, man. Falcons gonna dwell in the middle of the league for the next 5 years, and they probably are. They're probably going to be a team that's just good enough to squeak into the playoffs, and that.
But you know the problem, though, Ray. I'd rather do that with Desmond Ridder at quarterback than Derek Carr.
You take Ridder over?
I'm just saying. Like, I'm talking about the teams, right? Would you rather be a Saints fan?
Who would you rather have, Ridder or Carr? A real.
If you factor in cost, Ray, it's easily Ridder. If you give me the cost, right? Because Carr's costing you the full freight. What does Ridder cost you? $1 million
for Carr?
Right?
Got to pay full freight for that.
Carr's what, $40 million? And he's and did you if we can talk we didn't talk Saints on, but did you see over the weekend, right? Nick Underhill tweeted out about the throw down the sideline to Chris Olave, where Derek Carr lost his mind. He's yelling at Olave, and MT's like
Tom Brady.
Olave wasn't the read. He wasn't even in the progression. He should have ran down the field to clear out for Taysom Hill, but he wasn't part of the play, wasn't in the progression. And so you have Derek Carr yelling at Chris Olave to quote unquote run more. It's wild, bro. It's wild. Like, the team hates Derek Carr. They hate him. There's no reason to believe in him.
Jimbo said full freight for Carr. That's how I'm gonna start calling. You got to pay that full freight price for Derek Carr. No, thank you, man. Good
no discounts for Derek Carr.
How did we even get there? The other side of the ball, Rachaad White, Jay. I mean,
you're mad he was good, right? I told you he could be all right. I told you he could be all right. 6 for 65 is good enough for me. I'll take it at running back.
He had the catch, man. He had the catch.
Can't run the ball at all, but
I'm not
I'll
about
take
to
it.
say he was good, but he got it.
Cade Otton, 5 for 43. Let's go. Trey Palmer, though, didn't do anything in this game.
All right, Jay. Let's move on and get to the game that I did not see coming. Jay, Pittsburgh and the Rams. So what's funny about this one, Jay, is Mitch and I did breakfast and bets before this show, and we were all over the Rams. I took Rams money line, a Cooper Kupp over. Fliff had him at 89.5 yards, bumped up to 90.5. Everybody in the world was over Cooper Kupp's yards, 90.5 yards. If you took an over, you lost everything because he didn't even get close to going over. But this is why we follow the data and trust the math, because everybody was saying, well, then you take Matthew Stafford's over his yards. And I'm like, the books aren't saying that. That's not where the value is. I'm not touching Matthew Stafford over yards. He didn't go over. Puka Nacua went berserk, Jay. And that's where I want to start with. And I believe after this game, Jay, I don't know why it went here, but after this one, Jay, what are your thoughts on Nacua moving forward, man? If this doesn't solidify it for him to he's an elite wide receiver right now. He's operating in a great offense. He's performing at a phenomenal clip. I saw a stat that with one more 100-yard game, he'll be the only player in NFL history to have X number of 100-yard games.
Like 6 in a rookie season or something.
In a rookie season?
Yeah.
He's elite, Jay. Like, that's what it is. You may not like the production, the profile coming out from the testing numbers and the collegiate numbers at BYU. But at this point, dog, like, are we still questioning Puka Nacua's viability in this offense? Are we still doing that, or should we just dead all of that immediately?
I think it's already dead, honestly, Ray. I mean, even KTC has him at wide receiver 12 right now.
Who's ahead of him?
In Dynasty.
Who's ahead of him?
Okay, so you want the names? Let's go through the names.
Let's go. Would you rather? Let's do it.
Devontae Smith.
Or Puka Nacua?
Yeah.
Puka.
Okay. And I'm fine with that. I'm the way Smitty's been playing, kind of with you on that.
It's nothing to do with Smitty.
Stephon Diggs.
Jay,
well, a little bit to do with Smitty.
Numero uno. AJ Brown it's AJ Brown. It's AJ Brown. Who else?
Certainly is. Stephon Diggs. That's tougher. But if you want, the age, right?
Fine with still Diggs.
Then you got to go Olave.
Olave over Puka? No.
You prefer Puka?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jalen Waddle.
Come on, man.
I figured you'd go Waddle, but Waddle's still very high. So I'm going up the rankings right now. So he's ahead of Olave, ahead of Diggs, ahead of Smitty.
That's a ridiculous ranking. I like Jalen Waddle. There's no way in hell he should be ranked Dynasty wide receiver 9. No way.
Then you have Garrett Wilson. That's tough. I believe in Garrett Wilson.
I believe in him too. I think he's QB proof. He was on track for Trinity this year. I'm fine with Garrett Wilson over Puka Nacua.
I think then you're pretty much end of the list. You're saying Waddle, Diggs. You took Diggs, right? So you said Waddle, Olave, and Smitty. So you pretty much have him at like wide receiver 8 right now. Wide receiver 9.
Yeah, he definitely should be over a couple of those guys that we.
Yeah, wide receiver 9. Yeah, is where you're at. And then how about Brandon Ayuk?
Other than that, it's like Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb. I mean,
CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, Jamar, and Justin Jefferson.
I'm Garrett over Puka too. I'm Garrett over Debro. Back me up. I'm Garrett over Puka, but they're right there. CeeDee Lamb. I'm still CeeDee Lamb over Puka too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am too.
We're on the same page. And then everybody else.
How you feel about Ayuk, who's actually behind Puka right now?
No, I'll take Puka over Ayuk.
Yeah, because then it's like Drake London, Zay Flowers, Cooper Kupp, Jordan Addison, Metcalf, JSN. So, I think we're pretty much in lockstep. Right around wide receiver 9 or so.
But any idea of what happened to Kupp? Like, he just, like, it didn't look like they did anything different coverage-wise. And, again, I haven't looked at anything all 22, so I don't want to misspeak or speak out of turn. But it just felt like the matchup was Puka Nacua, and that catch that the throw and the catch that Stafford put on him down that left sideline. My God, Jay, he's very good, man. He is an absolute monster. So hopefully you got a chance to buy low on some Puka Nacua. And Jay, your boy George Pickens, this was an interesting spot for him. He's been flirting with. He's in that good range of Trinity score. He's got Trinity scores above 7. He was below the trend line, the regression line, because the points weren't there. And this isn't going to help him get his point per game up. But when you look at this offense, Jay, with Deontay Johnson back and George Pickens still did his thing, how are you feeling about this young man moving forward in Dynasty? Because I kind of want to say, is he the alpha now? Is George Pickens the alpha in this offense? And no, Deontay, they had him limited, right? And he still did his thing, man. He gave you 79 yards. Look like Deontay to me, but just wait until he gets ramped up, 2-3 weeks down the line. This is a team that I've been kind of discrediting and discounting on Bleacher Report, Jay. They're inside my top 10 this week. I mean, Pittsburgh, I believe they've beaten Cleveland, they've beaten the Ravens, and now they put foot in the Rams. Like, how can we keep denying the defensive job that this team is doing? And, say what you want about all these, like Kenny Pickett is getting it done. He's doing enough to help them win games. He didn't turn the ball over here. No interceptions. Had a rushing touchdown on the day. What do you think? Big thoughts from the Pittsburgh side of the ball.
One, Kenny Pickett looked much better, right? And we kind of talked about that in the preview last week. The Rams don't generate a lot of pressure at getting to the quarterback, right? So that went hand in hand with a slightly better rushing performance than we've seen from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as well, a better performance from Kenny Pickett. Now, obviously, George Pickens is kind of the favorite right now in terms of being the X because Deontay was out, and that's why I was kind of in on Pickens this week. I didn't think Deontay would just come in and take all the targets away. But I think the more encouraging sign, Ray, is that we saw a consolidation of targets towards Pickens and towards Deontay. And if we get that old school Steelers offense, when it's Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, or Martavius Bryant and Santonio Holmes, or like name a Steelers wide receiver duo, we've seen this happen in the past many times. And so when you talk about that type of situation for both guys, they're both going to be good for fantasy. They're both going to be consistent. And if they're making plays down the field, I think they're going to be just fine. We do need Pickett to be great, not good, because he hasn't even been good. He's been okay. He was good in this matchup. I think the most encouraging signs that they did run a little bit and did finally have some complimentary football. Jaylen Warren's touchdown was a great run and block from kind of everyone involved. He made a great cut up the middle of the field that I don't think Najee would have made, to be honest. Yeah. And I don't think he would have finished that play off the way Warren did. But I think they complemented themselves very well. And I think the biggest thing, Ray, is the Steelers defense continues to be one of the biggest stories in the NFL because they are in every game because of that defense. Every single game. I don't think Stafford was great. You mentioned Kupp totally disappeared. They took him away entirely. Puka did his thing, whether that's, him making plays or just kind of being the guy when needed. I think kind of both were true. And then, Darrell Henderson as well. I mean, coming in was great. But from the Steelers side, I think if they continue to consolidate targets to both these two receivers, I think they'll both be good for fantasy going forward.
Jay, this is just... we talked about it last week, and shout out to Dwayne McFarland for tweeting this last week, and we talked about this on the show. Prior to week 7, even despite Puka Nakuma's 4 for 20-something yards, whatever he had in week 6. Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp combined for 70% of the Rams' passing targets, right? And then you look at this chart from this past weekend. Puka Nakua, 12. Cooper Kupp, 7. Atwell, 2 targets. Higbee, 3. Bryson Hopkins, 1. I mean, the only players you want are Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp. You don't want to start Tyler Higbee. Yeah. We thought maybe there could be a little bit of a role for Tutu when he did score, but, I mean, 2 targets. That's just...
Still 74% of snaps.
Yes. You don't want to bet on that every week. It's those 2 guys. It's Puka, it's Kupp. I anticipate Cooper Kupp bouncing back in the next week. You talk about the running game. The running game of the Rams, everybody pumping up that Zach Evans. Oh, man, they're going to just turn it over to the rookie. And Darrell Henderson leads the way, followed by Royce Freeman. So, no Zach Evans. I don't believe he registered a touch in that
Didn't have an offensive snap at all, Ray.
No
at
snaps.
all. It was all Henderson and Freeman. It was 39 for Henderson and 29 for Freeman, and that was it for the Rams running backs last night.
Yep, that was it. Big takeaways here. I know you talked about it, Jay. They didn't have a rushing touchdown coming into the game. They had 3 on the day. Yeah. Harris, Pickett, and Jaylen Warren. And Kenny Pickett, man, people said he's mid, but he's getting the job done. He's doing what he needs to do with this defense, right? He's doing what he needs to do with this defense. So there it is. Henderson, yeah. Darrell Henderson took Zach Evans' chain. Here's the thing, D-Bro. Zach never even had the damn chain to begin with. Didn't even have the chain.
Couldn't afford to buy it at the shop.
Yeah, Puka Nakua is an absolute dog, Jay. Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals game. Is this it for Astro? Game. Is it finally over for Josh Dobbs? Do we get Kyler Murray next week? Do the Arizona Cardinals play next week?
I believe they play next. Oh, that's a great question. Let me see.
Either way, Josh Dobbs was
bad. They play the Ravens next week.
Oh, the Cardinals play the Ravens?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the game at?
1 second.
Is it in Baltimore? Versus
no, it's at home. It's at home.
Trap game?
Maybe. If Kyler's back, is it a trap game?
We don't want to say
but yeah, Kyler being back would be big. I think people kind of expected him back. There was reports he took first team snaps this week as well. So, kind of leading into the Josh Dobbs is kind of done as a starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. I think we all are kind of excited to see Kyler in this offense. But yeah, Josh Dobbs wasn't great. He really wasn't. He ran for that touchdown, which was great for him for fantasy. But outside of that, he wasn't very good. And I don't really think Geno Smith was that good either.
Well, I was going to get to Geno. We put it in the show notes. We wanted to see Geno's. We put, is this Geno's last chance?
He didn't prove anything to me. That's the problem. Like, did he prove that I want to start him for fantasy? What did he have? 3 turnovers in this game? Well, he had at least 2. Terrible.
He wasn't very good either. Here's the takeaways, man. Kenneth Walker's just a damn dog, man. He's one of the he's like a dinosaur, man. He's like the buffalo. Just only a few of them left, so you got to just preserve them because the bell cows are just no longer active in the NFL. And he just totes the rock, man. They get him involved in the receiving game. I kid you not. I don't know what. I think I just smoked or something, so I was a little bit foggy-brained. But I turned around and I saw 31 from the Cardinals running. And I was like, David Johnson's back. DJ is back. And I'm like, oh, it's DeMarcado, not David Johnson. It's damn DeMarcado. But he looked good. DeMarcado looked patient. I thought he played well after leading the team in snaps last week and not registering much of anything. Got involved in the offense and looked much better than Keontae Ingram and company. Rondale Moore got absolutely destroyed by Devon Witherspoon in the game. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN with a touchdown in this game. He had 7 targets, 63 yards, no DK Metcalf, and a banged-up Tyler Lockett. It was the Smith and Jigba show and the Jake Bobo show. I picked up Bobo in multiple spots, Jake. In best ball, I don't have to worry about stardom. Gave you 61 and a touchdown. I'll just say this, Jay. I'm going to say this. Pete Carroll doesn't give a damn. He'll play anyone, man. He will put from Thomas Rawls to Chris Carson. He will play you. I think Jake Bobo needs to be rostered this week. If you're in shallow, start 8, start 9, no. Start 10, start 11, start 12. He needs to be rostered, Jay. Like I don't think this is like a joke, a game. And yes, DK Metcalf being out definitely elevates what he can do or his opportunity. But I think Pete wants to use this kid, and we don't know what the hell is going on in practice. Maybe he's a good blocker. Maybe maybe it's something. But I think he needs to be rostered, Jay. I think Jake Bobo needs to be rostered. On the other side of the ball, Zach Ertz. You see Zach Ertz and Trey McBride. Those are the two that I want to talk about. Those two tight ends, Ertz and McBride. I'm hearing rumblings that he's on the block. Who knows? I still think I want to buy some Trey McBride, man. I think when Kyler Murray gets back, Jay, if they move on from Zach Ertz, it's going to be McBride season. There was nothing else to really talk about from the receivers. Nobody did anything. Hollywood led the team in targets, but nothing really came to fruition. They threw the ball for 140 yards. Like, no shit, nobody's going to do anything. Two mid quarterbacks. I don't feel any better about Geno Smith than I did coming into the game, and I do think that Josh Dobbs, appreciate you, Cameron. Appreciate you, Cam. First time catching y'all live. Appreciate you being here. I don't know what else, how many more weeks. People are saying like 2 more weeks for Kyler Murray. So let's go. Yeah. Some company on the Trey McBride hype train. Man, I drafted so much Trey McBride in underdog drafts over the summer. So freaking much Trey McBride. Jay, I'm going to have to lean on you on this one because I'll be honest with you. During this game, we were getting ready for the Tamar Braxton concert, so I did not see much of any of this game at all. I saw Romeo Doubs drop a touchdown pass, and it was caught by Jaden Reed. Yep. I didn't see anything from Aaron Jones. I saw Jerry Jeudy catching some passes and got hit in the junk. But other than that, I am box score scouting this one. So you in the chat, let me know what happened in this game. Okay, let me tell you what I'm thinking, and then y'all tell me how right or wrong I am. I'm looking, and I did not watch this game at all. Looking at this, Jordan Love looked like he played fine. I mean, him and Russell Wilson looked like they played. I'm just telling you what it looks like, and then y'all tell me what happened. Looks like he played fine. Russ looked like he played fine. They both completed completion percentage around the same. A.J. Dillon had a game. Doesn't look like Aaron Jones did much. Javonte looks like he's the lead. And then from the receivers, Reed, the touchdown, I saw that. Watson stunk it up. Musgrave did nothing. Dobbs didn't do anything besides the touchdown, I guess. I didn't even know he scored. Jeudy looked like he had a positive game, 64 yards. Sutton looks like he's the alpha. How spot on was that box score scouting? I literally have no clue.
Basically nailed it outside of Jordan Love. Jordan Love was not good in this game. It was one of those performances kind of like we saw against the Saints where he was god-awful for 3 quarters. In the 4th quarter, he kind of just figured it out somehow, right? We're not really sure how it happens, but he kind of figured it out late in the game. Now, he ultimately threw the game-sealing interception, which, say with that what you want. Some people kind of don't blame the quarterback because he's got to try and make a play, and some people say, well, it was a pretty bad pass. So
who was it? You have to put who was it?
It was double coverage. It was deep down the field. It was slightly overthrown, so the safety was kind of just sitting back there, caught it, game over, right? It wasn't crazy. Romeo Doubs made a nice catch in the end zone. As you mentioned, didn't really do a whole lot. Could have had 2. Unfortunately, the pass from Jordan Love wasn't great. It was a little hot. Dobbs couldn't quite catch it, but Jaden Reed was right behind him. So, again, with that, Jordan Love threw 2 touchdowns, threw for 180. He was okay, I guess, but, if you actually watch the game, he just wasn't very good. And the bigger thing here is really not that Jordan Love wasn't good. It was that he's also playing the Denver defense, which we know isn't good, right? And so for a quarterback that we did have some high hopes for, that we're hoping to see something from in this matchup, he didn't deliver. And so if he can't play well against this defense, we can't really trust him against any defense. For fantasy football, maybe he can be okay because he can run a little bit, and he had 21 on the ground. He threw 2 touchdowns, threw a pick. I think, A.J. Dillon had a pretty solid game considering all things.
A.J. Dillon standards, that's pretty good, man.
Yeah, the pass that he caught, he ran up the middle, broke a bunch of tackles. He was good on that front, obviously ran the ball effectively. I think the biggest takeaway in this game is Javonte Williams. He was the lead back. He ran the ball very effectively. And then you have, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good out there. They talked about last week how they wanted to run the ball more. They got the ball to Javonte, a lot less Jaleel McLaughlin, a lot less Samaje Perine, which is what we were all hoping for in fantasy. And as I talked about last week, Courtland Sutton's the alpha. He's running the majority of the snaps. He's playing the most by far of all the receivers. But Jerry Jeudy did his thing as well and did do pretty decent. And Russ was okay. Needed another touchdown from Russ to be more fantasy relevant, but he was all right in this matchup again against the Packers defense that's been kind of up and down this season, but really not a lot to take away here. This is a pretty awful game overall.
What's up with Watson, man? I see people disappointed in Christian Watson. This was one that I just didn't buy into the third round startup cost in underdog. I've got very little Christian Watson. I just wasn't buying into that. What was up with him? I don't know. And Aziz S said Watson matched up with Pat Surtain pretty much all game. Don't overreact.
Yeah.
If that injury, so there's an injury. So he was injured in this one too?
Yeah, remember the MCL that he suffered,
Okay,
so we're waiting to see the severity of that. But I think this is another situation where they're really spreading the ball around, right? So I think that's kind of the bigger problem too. You have Musgrave getting targets. We talked about Romeo Doubs getting involved. We're seeing Jaden Reed get involved a little bit. And when you have all these guys kind of making plays on offense, it's difficult to have the guy. And I think Christian Watson, whether it's injury, obviously he was seeing a lot of Pat Surtain. It's difficult to really establish yourself when these kind of things are going on. But I'm curious how people feel about Watson now, because it's kind of with the injuries and not great performances, Dobbs really coming on strong. How do people kind of feel about him? Both of us have kind of been all out on Christian Watson, especially at cost. That yards per route run of 2022 isn't really paying out too well in 2023.
If I got to pay full freight for that Watson, I can't do it. All right, keep trade cut, Jay. Let's see a little Would You Rather Jordan Love edition. All right, who we doing right here? Who we keeping, who we trading, who we cutting? Let's put some good info in here. Who we keeping?
I'll keep London, trade Saquon, and cut Addison.
All right, there we go. All right, let's go quarterbacks. Let's take a look at where old Jordan Love is right now. So down QB 16 behind Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, JRich down to QB 10. Try to get him. Right now, Jay, would you rather have Jordan Love or Justin Fields? Only one. Jordan Love, Justin Fields, would you rather edition. That is it.
Give me Justin Fields. Oof. Both aren't long-term answers at quarterback for me as it stands right now, but I know that Justin Fields does have high-end upside when he's playing very well.
That high-end upside, got to capture that. All right, Jay, let's talk about Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes. This feels like one of those NBA where the Bulls just ran through the Eastern Conference and just, unfortunately, if you're just over there with them, you just can't do anything. And unfortunately, Justin Herbert and the Chargers are in the AFC West, and this will be run and led by Patrick Mahomes until he retires. I really want to start off by saying I really do hope that everybody on this stream right now, and if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button now. Appreciate what we're watching and witnessing with Patrick Mahomes. Like, really appreciate this. Jay, I know you were pretty young when Tom Brady started his run. I remember it, but I was young as well. But I remember watching that run. But we are living through a moment where we could see the greatest football player, or one of the top 5 greatest football players ever.
From start to finish.
Just in their prime, from start to finish. He goes out there and he throws for 400-something yards, and it's ho-hum. It's ho-hum. He's doing it with, like, you look, and I know Kelsey had a monster game. We'll talk about Travis Kelsey. But I think it was Hayden Winks that tweeted this out and said, he was already Patrick Mahomes, and now we effed around and gave him a good defense. Now we effed around and gave him a good defense. The youngest defense in the league, they're dope. Now, they did lose Nick Bolton. Dislocated wrist sounds awful. They said season ending if it's dislocated. They said it's a very painful injury. But just appreciate what we're watching and witnessing from this man. I mean, he is just a different type of quarterback, man. You just can't stop him. You can't stop him. He's incredible, Jay. Mahomes over 400 yards in this matchup, and you just look at how he just gets the ball out. He's got a running game. Travis Kelsey's playing well. One interception, that's fine. That's Mahomes. Going to throw players throw picks. Stop overreacting picks, man. But just appreciate what we're witnessing from him. It's a joy and it's a treat to watch. And it really, Jay, even in my rankings, like, I don't think you can put him in a tier with anybody else. I just don't. I think he's in his own tier. We've got these tiers called BAM tier. By any means necessary, you do whatever you got to do to get that player if they hit the market. I think there's only one. That's Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Allen or Hurts should even be in the same conversation as Patrick Mahomes and what he's doing offensively right now. You go down the board. Isaiah Pacheco didn't do a ton on the ground, but involved in the receiving game. Love it.
Yep.
Keep throwing Isaiah Pacheco the ball. Then you've got MVS, long touchdown catch. Rashee Rice running over damn safeties in the middle of the field, just truck sticking, folks. Had his 60 yards. Kelsey went nuclear. McCole Hardman had a big play in the game, a couple of big plays just getting back. This Chiefs team is rounding into form, Jay. I got Bleacher Report today. Where should they rank? 1, 2, or 3? Right now, I got them second behind the Niners. Should they be 1, 2, or 3?
That's tough. I think you kind of got to put them 1.
Okay, just quick. I
think you kind of do.
I don't want to.
Is it too reactionary?
I don't know. I still got San Francisco at the top spot for today, but KC
it's only one loss for the Niners. I mean, they're tied. So I think the question is, Ray, and this is an interesting conversation. Do you think getting through the end of the NFC is tougher than the AFC?
No.
Right? Like, are the Eagles third? No. Right?
I got Philly third. I think
that's
third.
Like the Bills, not looking so good. No. The Ravens could pose a threat. The Jags maybe could pose a threat. You know, David saying Jags, but no one in the AFC West is competitive. The North, someone will emerge, whether it's the Bengals, whether it's the Ravens. There will be an opponent from there that's pretty good. Even the Steelers, right? They're playing well.
Pittsburgh, don't.
And the South is awful, right? The South, no one's coming out of there. So it's the Jags, and that's pretty much it. I think when you look at the Dolphins, they can't win on the road, so you're not too worried about them right now. The Bills are awful right now. So I think the point could be made, if you're trying to get through a conference, it may be tougher to get through the NFC because you have to go through Philly than having to go through another team, because the Chiefs just aren't losing games at home right now. They're just not. So if you got to go to Kansas City in the playoffs, it's over at this point.
Travis Kelce, what do you say? I mean, just absolute stud, monster performance from
Ray, I have a question for you, actually.
What's up?
What is he worth in Dynasty? I was offered
There's no price.
Kyle Pitts for Kelce in a tight end premium league where my team is out of it. And I'm like, I don't know. Is he just worth Kyle Pitts?
No. Even if you don't need Kelce, people must pay. You will pay for this. You will pay for this production. Even if I don't need him, I will not lowball, because I know the difference maker that I'm sending you. You will pay for this production. He's a different cat. Just for the life of me, how's he so wide open? Like, do you just not cover him? Like, what are you
doing?
I
think it's the combination of him being great and Mahomes helping to throw him open as well, right? Like, he makes a ton of phenomenal plays. He's great after the catch. Obviously, they're completely in sync. Like, they know what the other one's going to do. Yes. And Mahomes puts the ball where he knows Kelsey's going to be. And that's completely unfair. When you're not even running a route and you're freestyling in the backfield, it's like, well, Mahomes just puts it in a spot and Kelsey just kind of shows up there. And you're like, okay, how do I stop that, right? Obviously, was phenomenal. Rashee Rice finally playing over Sky Moore, which we begged for. 2 weeks in a row now, he's played more snaps than Sky Moore. I don't know if you saw Jack Settleman tweet out, Mahomes threw for 424 yards. Surely Sky Moore had a big game. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Give it up. He can't run deep. He's not taking the intermediate stuff. It's Rashee Rice, it's Travis Kelce, and in best ball, this is what you want out of MVS. If you drafted him in underdog, this was the game. He cracked your lineup. This is the only reason you take him. Other side of the ball, Josh Palmer feels like he's turning into the damn number one, big play threat for the Chargers, and how much they feel right now spending that first round on QJ and Josh Palmer just literally running laps around him. Keenan Allen still doing his thing. And if Mike Williams was there, QJ would be an afterthought, Jay. Would be an absolute afterthought. Austin Eckler. I saw Jeff Mueller, our injury analyst at DD, talking about Austin Eckler and maybe some lingering effects of the high ankle sprain, returning from that and not being as explosive. Josh Kelly had a big game on the day. But Justin Herbert, let's talk about Justin Herbert, Jay. Let's talk about Justin Herbert, Jay. What is it? Whose fault is it? We know it's not. Oh, it ain't his fault. It can't be Justin Herbert. So whose fault is it this week for another pedestrian-like performance from Justin Herbert?
Can we blame Kellen Moore?
Blame
because we've been there, right, with Dallas.
Don't blame Herbert because it's not his fault. So find somebody. So now it's Kellen Moore. Let's talk Kellen Moore. It's his fault, right? It's his fault that Justin Herbert is, and no one's denying the talent. Yeah. Nobody's denying the talent. We see it. He's got a rocket of an arm. He could run around. Can make every throw. It's about time, man. We rip Dak Prescott. We rip all these other quarterbacks. When is he going to get some blame placed at his feet to say, you got to be better, my guy?
Yeah, right. You hit it on the nail on the head. Recovered Ridley Truther probably needs to change his name to relapse Ridley Truther. He said is Herbert Kirk Cousins, but younger. And this is something that I talked to you about. I don't even think we talked about it on the show, but just how, like, if Herbert doesn't become this winning quarterback, is he just a stat compiler? The way that Dak Prescott for years has been a stat compiler, the way that Kirk Cousins for years has been a stat compiler. Winning isn't everything. But when you see Trevor Lawrence put up good fantasy games and wins, it vaults his dynasty value. Joe Burrow putting up great fantasy games and winning games, getting deep into the playoffs, it vaults his dynasty value, right? Hurts, same thing. Josh Allen at times, same thing. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter for fantasy, but I think it matters for sentiment. And when you continuously see Justin Herbert fall short, their team is 2-4, it's an interesting conversation because, as you mentioned, we all know he has the talent, but he's been through multiple coordinators. And it hasn't been its best since, of course, he had Shane Steichen, who is, in my opinion, one of the best coordinators in the NFL, if not the best, probably just behind Kyle Shanahan.
These are some very fantasy friendly and feels like real NFL comparisons. So David said Herbert following Rivers' career. And remember, what he had to deal with, good Lord, in the AFC during that time. I mean, it was him and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and just... I mean, I'm probably forgetting some other AFC greats during that time. Yeah, Joe Flacco. Like, he had to deal
Ben
with
Roethlisberger, right?
Yeah, Big Ben. Like, he had to deal with all of that, but he was still very good for fantasy because he just aired it out, right? Air raid. Then there was another one. Patrick says Stafford was like that for a long time ago, right?
Yep.
Where he's just out there in Detroit. They really can't win, but he puts up monster numbers. He gets his guy, puts up monster numbers. It's actually not bad. I mean, that's actually not, those aren't bad career archetype type things. It feels like Justin Herbert is on that path because when do you see this Chargers team beating that Chiefs team? I just don't.
Never.
Jay. I don't see it happening. And for dynasty and for fantasy, he's going to score you points because he is going to throw the ball a lot. But man, Patrick Mahomes, just appreciate the greatness in which we were witnessing him play with. He is just an incredible talent, Jay. Final game, Sunday night game, Jay. Sunday night football. We were ready for it. We said it would be the best game on the slate.
One team showed up.
Wasn't the best game on the, maybe. I don't know. It was a good game.
The Colts and Browns game was great.
Yeah, Colts and Browns.
Stinky one PM slate.
But the Eagles got it done. This was the best that Philadelphia, I think, has played all season, Jay. And we had talked about Philly not playing a complete offensive game so far this season. And they put up 31 points, and I still don't think they played a full, complete offensive game, which, again, is scary. That's no shade to the Eagles. I still think they're still figuring out the running game with Swift and company, still, figuring out some of the offensive stuff, but they're still smashing. And they went out there and completely neutralized this Miami offense. We talked about this offense. They'd come in and Philly's defense was down and they're not playing well. And yet Tyreek Hill got over top of double coverage and scored his touchdown. That's what Tyreek Hill is going to do. Jalen Waddle had a couple of big plays, but for the most part, I mean, they shut them down. Jay, they shut down the Miami Dolphins offense, and we know the Dolphins defense isn't going to stop anybody. So when I'm looking at Miami, and I know the enthusiasm and hype for them to be the best team in the AFC, at some point you got to stop somebody. You've got to stop. You've got to be able to create a stop some way, somehow, and they just weren't able to do that in this matchup. Jalen Hurts, I thought, played really good football. A.J. Brown, right now, is he the best receiver in football right now? Not long-term over Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's not playing right now. Right now, actively playing in the NFL, not on injured reserve. Is he the best wide receiver in football right now?
I really want to say yes, Ray. I don't think so, but I think Tyreek Hill is better than him, honestly.
Oh, yeah, Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is probably better than him, but AJ does do things that just blow your mind every single week. And it's not to say that I'm not trying to discredit Tyreek Hill because he does it with speed, which is kind of like a cheat code when you watch him play. You're like, no one should be this fast, but he is, and he obviously makes the most of it, so don't want to take anything away from him on that front. But when you compare Jefferson and Brown and Chase, I think that you could easily make the case for Brown being the best right now. Chase has been phenomenal too.
Yes,
Obviously, when healthy,
yes.
Jefferson is great.
No knock on
Cooper
Chase
Kupp
at all.
obviously is just ridiculous. Had a down
knock
week.
on any of those guys.
I think the number one is still
They're talking
Tyreek,
about
but I
AJ
think you could
Brown.
easily make AJ because he's going for 5. I think is he going for 5 or I think he's going for he got 5 for 5 straight games of 125, and I believe if he gets the 6th, he breaks the all-time NFL record for 125-yard games in a row.
Here's one. Do you all think I should give away Olave and a late first 111, 112 for AJ Brown? Would that be a move that you would make? 111, 112 and Olave to get AJ Brown. So if you can get a third back, David, see if you can get a third back. And that's just for leverage. Just to be able to use that third to buy something else, I'd be fine with it. Screw that 111, 112. And 24, no thanks. You can take that Will Shipley. Go ahead and have it. Give me AJ Brown. See if you can get a third back in the deal.
Shots at Will Shipley. Damn,
no
White Lightning.
Will Shipley. There's no shots at Will Shipley. He's a fine player. Tua, not sharp in this matchup, Jay. He wasn't sharp in this matchup. Seemed like the Eagles front. I'll say when Tua gets pressure around him, that's when stuff gets uncomfortable, right? And that's a lot of quarterbacks. But you could tell he's definitely a little giddy in the pocket whenever there's a lot of traffic around. Jalen Hurts threw the ball well. He's just got to stop fumbling the ball, man. The fumbles are starting to be like, hold on to the damn ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on to the damn ball.
Needs to get rid of it a little more.
Yes. DeAndre Swift barely hit this rushing prop. I think he got on the final damn play of the game. But yeah, Jay, AJ Brown, 15 targets for Brown. And as good as Devontae Smith is, this really is starting to feel like
it's a one-man show now.
T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, where we still love the player and he's got an awesome name, and we know that if something were to happen to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith could 100% step up and operate as the one. But man, this is the A.J. Brown show, and it's very similar on both of these teams. Tyreek Hill to Jalen Waddle, and these are guys that I believe have ADV, artificial dynasty value. Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith both valued as top 11 dynasty receivers. How Waddle is still ranked up there blows my mind, but these are second fiddles to not just alphas, Jay, because there's a difference. It's not like Cortland Sutton is the alpha and they're playing second fiddle to Sutton, or they're playing second fiddle to Zay Flowers, who's the alpha in Baltimore. You're talking about when Tua's dropping back, he's looking for number 10. That is read 1, 2, and probably 3. When Jalen Hurts drops back, it's A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert right now, who's on a tear. Who's the better duo? Tua and Tyreek or A.J. and Jalen Hurts? This is a good question. If you had to pick one of these two, you taking for the rest of season, Tua and Reek on your roster or Hurts and A.J. Brown, rest of season?
Who's my quarterback?
I just said both of them. You could have the
you get the quarterbacks.
You get the quarterback. You get the quarterback and the receiver for the rest of the season. Do you want Tua and Tyreek or A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts? Fantasy.
I think I'm a little biased, but I want A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I do. I think they are the better duo. I think part of that is Jalen Waddle's not really on the field right now. He was fine, and it's just we need to see a little bit more from Waddle, and I think we all know Smitty can do it. He just hasn't been doing it recently. It's been all A.J. Brown. And you talk about alpha receivers, both guys had 15 targets, and that really is all that needs to be said. No one else on either team had more than 6. So there you really go. But for me, yeah, it's definitely A.J. Brown and Smitty. Love both those guys. And I think you do talk about T. Higgins. It's an interesting conversation. Waddle at 7, Smitty at 11. T. Higgins, while he is injured, wide receiver 20, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, it's what have you done for me right now in Dynasty? And that's how that market is reflected, as what have you done for me right freaking now? So tonight, what do we have? The Niners and the Minnesota Vikings.
Woof.
Where's this game at?
Is this a trap game, Ray?
We're going to stop.
Better not be, man. Better not be.
Say that bad things happen. It better not be. Where's the game at?
Minnesota.
Christian McCaffrey's playing, right? CMC's playing.
He's expected to play, yeah. He is dealing with his oblique injury. Yeah, Debo already ruled out. CMC dealing with the oblique, but expected to play. So we should be fine. Should be playing. Brandon's got him for a touchdown in the first half in his article on the website. So people expect him to play. But can Kirk do anything, Ray? Is it Addison's week? Is it KJ's week? Is it Brandon Powell's week? Do the Vikings break the curse and rush for a touchdown this week like the Steelers did? I don't think so.
I have no idea, Jay. I have no idea, but football is on tonight. Everybody's ripping me. Appreciate it.
Forget that. I'm watching baseball, baby. We got Phillies closeout game, and we got Game 7 between the Astros and the Rangers. Come on, Ray. It's a baseball night.
Well, YouTube
I don't
TV,
care if it's a football show.
I can multi-view it, but we will be watching the Rangers game tonight. That is priority numero uno. But I am excited for this game, and we're actually going to break that game down and post it on a Monday Night Football betting slip that will drop on the channel here, hopefully in the next couple of hours. But that is Week 7. We are almost in the books. There were quite a few teams on bye this week. I don't know what we get next week as far as buys, but we had
I can look it up
quite a few teams on buys this week. We had Carolina, Cincinnati, Dallas, Houston, the Jets, and the Titans on bye. So we get all those guys back this week. Jay, you got the bye weeks pulled up for Week 8?
Denver, Detroit, Jacksonville, and San Francisco.
Okay,
or wait.
So
no, there's no bye weeks. That's
no bye weeks?
Why is there a break in buys? That's so
No
strange.
buys.
Yeah, there's no bye weeks in Week 8.
So we get full freight. We get full freight in Week 8.
Full freight NFL.
NFL
Means a big show on Friday.
in Week 8. We had a couple of super chats I want to get to real quick. David says, appreciate you, David, for this one. Last week, we saw Dolphins owners do the waddle. This week, we saw Gesicki do the worst gritty ever. Can we see both of you doing either or show what your Teddy celebration would be? I'll tell you right now, I actually did a touchdown celebration in my closet probably 3 or 4 days ago, and it is 100% would be the Key and Peele McCringleberry, whatever his name is.
What is his celebration?
I just pump my junk in front of the crowd and then do like that.
I think we call that the Jamal Williams now, right?
Yeah,
Jamal Williams is doing that.
Yeah, I'm just doing that, man. I'm just standing
When he
there.
got fined for doing that.
Yeah, that's all I would do every time I score. And I'd dramatic. I'd do it I'd go slow, and sometimes I go like that. Sometimes I do it like that. But that's what I do every time I'd score a touchdown. Every time. I'm just swinging.
You'd be catching a lot of fines, but that's okay. You got it like that.
That's all right. Here we go. We got another one from Adam. All right. Half PPR, 1 QB, multiple flexes. I'm a top 2 team with youth and vets. Looking to ship Jerry Jeudy for Tajay Spears. Probably throw a 25-second bottom 4 pick. I saw a report, Jay. I don't know it was a report. It was an article. But it said, I think it was from Justin Mello, who covers the Tennessee Titans. And a shout out to my boy Mello. I worked with him at the Draft Network. But he said, based on where Tennessee's going, everybody should be on the table. Derrick Henry, kind of went through the veterans. There was, I think, an offensive lineman, another defensive player that Tennessee should look to trade. It's going to be interesting to see what Tennessee does coming out of the bye. When's the NFL trade deadline? Next week, Week 8?
Yeah, it's after next week.
It's after this week. So
yep.
Will the king get moved? That's the big question mark. You look at Baltimore, we talk about it all the time. Would love to see the Ravens take a shot. What would Philly have to pay to upgrade their running back room to get Derrick Henry? Would the Cowboys make a move? I like Tajay Spears. To answer this question, shipping Jerry Jeudy for Tajay Spears, if you can get another pick in there, I'm fine with that. 1 QB, give me the running back, half PPR. I'm not feeling good about Jeudy. So if you can get Spears, I'm fine with taking the gamble on a player who could have some really good stuff boost for him or break right. And hell, even being real, Jay, if Tennessee continues on this path, do you even expect Derrick Henry to be around in Week 17? If he's on this team and they're out of it, they've won 3 games, is he even going to freaking play? So I think there's a lot of upside stuff that you can get for, he's giving the pick to get Tajay Spears. Screw that, man. I'm not giving up.
Way.
Man, tell that dude.
Yeah, if Tennessee loses, then they'll be in the bottom 6 again, so they're in trouble.
Sure. If you want my 25-second, give me a 25-third back. Do a swap. But, come on, man. Stop trying to squeeze, I don't think you have to do that for Jerry Jeudy. But why did Ray – hold on. What did Jimbo say? Why Ray –
everyone's talking about this.
Did Miss GQ catch you? Stop, man. Let me get out of here before she gets on the stream. We appreciate everybody being – in the building, as always. Make sure you tap into all the content that we're doing here on Destination Devy that we're putting out weekly. Jay, we got the roster reviews, right? Dynasty Trades in 5. Roster reviews. Listen, I know it's bad. Your teams probably look real rough right now after this past week. If you need some help, you need some assistance, there's the website right there. Go to dynastytradesin5.com. JRich.com/roster reviews. Get a live roster review with Shane and Scott. They'll help you break down your roster, give you some tips in order to improve your rosters going into the offseason. And some of you, I promise you, you need it. You're holding these old-ass players. Your team is 1-7, and you got all these old people on your roster, and you don't know what to do. Scan the QR code. Get your damn rosters reviewed. Jay, podcast, we got a lot of good stuff coming out this week, right?
Yeah, we had Scott's pod drop. We had a couple articles drop late last night. If you want the full injury report, not just the brief summary I gave, check out DestinationDevy.com. Check out Jeff Mueller's injury report. We have Brandon's Monday night preview available as well, and lots of great things coming throughout the week. But yeah, Ray, it's a baseball night for me. But I'll watch some Monday Night Football too. But it's definitely, I think I'm cheering for your Rangers. I know if Gabe is listening, I'm sorry, Gabe, but I think I'm cheering for your Rangers. I want a Rangers-Phillies World Series. I think it would be dope.
Hey, NBA back, baby. NBA
tomorrow,
is
back
back Wednesday, man. Let's freaking
tomorrow.
go. I'm excited.
Tomorrow, man. Tomorrow.
You see Wemby? Wemby's.
Bro, that picture of him blocking Wiggins' shot, it looks fake, bro. It doesn't look real. He's too big. Like, he's too big to be playing in the NBA. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, your Lakers go to Denver for opening night.
How do you stop? You got to get physical. Thing is, everybody's like, "Oh, just get physical with him," but he's playing on the damn outside. He's not even down low.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that'll be interesting, right? Whenever those big, slender guys come in, they just get bodied in the paint, right? So it'll be interesting to see how he plays,
Chet's
whether he can hold up.
I think Chet's healthy this year.
Yeah, Chet's back. So we'll see how he plays, right? Another big, lengthy guy who's like 160 pounds. But yeah, your Lakers go to Denver opening night. And then, Ray, we have the double revenge game, Phoenix and Golden State. I believe that game is in Golden State. Chris Paul and then Kevin Durant versus his old team. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, good opening night.
Back, baby.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, David, never watched basketball, but did watch the Lakers Dynasty Series. Wemby looks special, like the vid. Raptors, baby. Richie pumping up those Toronto Raptors. So appreciate everybody being in. We're talking NBA at the end. We're just BSing as we get out of here. Y'all have a fantastic freaking Monday. Stay tapped into the content, rookie report, Trinity stuff, JRich dropping shorts, different things that we're doing over here to provide actionable and entertaining content. So if you are here around at the end, 412 of y'all still here and you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, like it. We appreciate y'all waking up every single day. And JRich and I will see you on Friday. Mitch and I will be here on Wednesday, and we got more stuff coming. So y'all have a great week. Make it awesome, man. We're out. Peace.